Bonjour. Hello. Have a good day. Well, no, I'm not saying goodbye. I'm saying no. You say goodbye, and I say hello, hello, hello. Hello. Bonjour. Mon cerveau, des fois, ça fait ça. C'est comme un petit livre. My brain does that sometimes. It's like a little library. Songs. There it is. Have a good day. Hi. I know. Le bourdonnement. Comme ça. I hope you've been humming. We should. C'est comme. C'est beau. C'est le fun. Mais on n'entend plus ça. Mais ça, c'est pas juste une expression de la joie. C'est aussi. Ça peut nous aider à retrouver notre calme quand on le manque. So it's not just about a culture of humming because we feel good. That that doesn't interest me too much, or I don't really think that should be the intention. That's not my impression of why we would. My thinking is more along the lines of the practicalities of it, and that we get there by doing it. So, this is concepts elaborated also by many others. None of these ideas are mine alone. Let me just clarify that for certain. If I failed to give credit to the original sources of these ideas, then please tell me and correct me if you're a fellow professional and what have you, but these are certainly not my ideas alone. That's why I'm intent on sharing the science. Et donc, pour bien clarifier, la majorité de ces idées-là ne m'appartiennent pas nécessairement directement. C'est toutes des ressources scientifiques et de d'autres qui sont encore plus qualifiés que moi. Et donc, je souhaite que vous aussi, vous faites vos recherches et vous faites vos études et vous lisiez. Je vous donnerai ces références, ces informations dans les notes si je ne peux pas la tirer de mon livre La lutte d'à côté de moi. So if I can't resource it by pulling it right from my library, I'll make sure to share it in the show notes or in the notes below so that you know where to go read it for yourself. Comme ça, vous étiez bien équipé et vous avez toutes les ressources pour le lire vous-même. So you have all the resources to go read it for yourself. Ok? Cool? C'est ça mon plan. Ok, parfait. Et donc, those that speak to the humming effect, that's Jonathan Goldman and Andy Goldman. I elaborate a lot more on that, but then that's one perspective on it. Donc, c'est ce livre-là, en fait, du bourdonnement, c'est une bonne ressource pour ces choses-là. Et mes excuses sont toutes, la majorité, écrites en anglais, mais je vous souhaite, je peux traduire le mieux que je peux pour vous, en fait, du contexte. Mais c'est ça que je vous explique, cette fondation. So most of them are just saying in French that they're all in English, the resources. So in terms for them, I'll translate so that that there's better access to the information and such. But that's just one source and one way of looking at the information too. I also look at it from many different angles so that it's not just one perspective that informs my choices. And I particularly prefer that. Humming is accessible also just because it doesn't require people to remember words, and so young children still learning and nonverbals, as well as seniors who are losing their ability to remember their words, humming is very useful for that too. So of any tune really. So je disais, c'est très utile, c'est pas juste cette perspective que je fais référence pour m'informer et pour faire mes décisions. Le bourdonnement, c'est aussi juste une autre belle chose à encourager parce que on n'a pas besoin de s'en rappeler de nos paroles. Parce que pour les jeunes qui sont non-verbaux, possiblement autant que pour nos aînés qui commencent à peut-être oublier les paroles dans le cas de ceux qui ont eu la démence ou qui ont plus de difficulté à trouver leurs mots, c'est une belle opportunité de s'exprimer sans honte ou haine. So it's a great way to start expressing ourselves without any shame or guilt if we start to forget our words. Et également, l'autre perspective que je vais apporter, and the other perspectives that also informs this for me, is, as I said, Dr. Stephen Porges' polyvagal theory, which speaks of the ninth cranial vagal nerve, as I said last time, du nerve crânial qui descend, la neuvième, en tout cas, nerve crânial qui descend et traverse dans tous nos organes internes. So it descends and it traverses, I was saying, all of our inner organs. And it's called the vagus nerve because it's a vagabond. So if anyone knows what a vagabond was, I don't know if we still use that language. Un vagabond, quelqu'un qui voyage beaucoup. So someone that travels a lot, that travels everywhere. So this nerve travels by chance everywhere, or many places at the very least in our body. So si pas partout, la majorité des places, ça touche quelque part dans nos organes. So our ability to interact with it, notre capacité d'interagir et avoir un effet sur cette nerve qui traverse ici, dans ces environs, c'est proche du larynx. So it's close to your larynx, in which case you can have a very direct effect on it if you so engage it such ways. Donc, on a la capacité d'avoir un effet juste par le bourdonnement. So, just by humming, we have the ability to have an effect on it. Now, if you don't feel like comfortable humming, you're like, Dominique, I'm no singer, I can't sing, I don't want to do that in public. Oh, it would just, would ruin me. That's why I'm hoping to change the culture, right? The more it's normalized, everyone, is secretly thinking that, myself included. And I have vocal training. But, it's been a while since I felt like, I'm just going to start humming in public. So maybe that'll be my first challenge. I'll just start doing it around. And hopefully, nobody takes it as a strange thing. Because I'm like, well, I know why I'm doing it. I have all the science and all the things. So let's just start doing it. I'll try to start being a leader that way. J'essaierai d'être plus un leader de cette sens-là, juste de bourdonner, et pas de penser avoir ces sentiments de honte ou de pas s'exprimer, qu'on fait juste bourdonner, pour le fun, hein? Puis, pas besoin d'être une chanson de familier ou rien, juste pour s'amuser. Et on peut faire un peu du yoga familial quand on le fait. Pour s'amuser et étirer. Oh, saying do a little facial yoga while we're doing it too, just for fun. Pour se réveiller le matin, just to wake up in the morning and, start your day in a funny mood. It's a good way to get the mood going and move. And so, in terms of polyvagal, that's stimulating it, it's activating your parasympathetic nervous system rather than your sympathetic nervous system. And the difference being, one, you would be associating with your fight-flight and fawning and all of these trauma responses, these survival instincts. There's nothing wrong with them. They do help us keep us alive and help us keep us safe in very dangerous situations. But when we can't remove ourselves from those states, when we're no longer in direct danger, and we can't properly tell when we're no longer not in danger, then we risk staying there for a very long time, and it's super unhealthy for our bodies to do that. And so, in the name of getting out of these states, humming can be a resource. And that takes time, and everyone's story around feeling comfortable humming is different, and so that's not that it will be a fix-all, but it's one of those tools. So we're just given tools in the toolkit because some tools are good sometimes, and they're not good other times. And only you can really tell when that is. So I will give them to you, and then you take that on yourself. Just make that assessment, right? Assess where and when that tool is useful and where it's not. Where you're like, but Dom, I just don't feel like that's useful. And fair enough. So please don't feel like this is a forcing, we should just have a humming culture and it should be a Broadway show all the time. That's not what I'm saying. Et donc, ce que je dis, en fait, du bourdonnement, c'est que que je vous invite pas que ça soit comme un show Broadway toujours, là, qu'on fait du bourdonnement. Tous les outils que je vous offre sont uniques à vous. Et donc, il y aurait certaines circonstances, tu dis, oui, dans ces cas-là, le bourdonnement fonctionnerait, mais il n'y a pas d'autres lieux ou d'autres expériences ou circonstances où ce que ça marchera pas pour moi, Dominique. C'est pas ma façon. Puis je te dis, je respecte ça complètement. C'est toujours à vous de faire cette décision, de vraiment évaluer dans quel contexte quelque chose vous servira. So, I'm here to empower you to make those choices and just to allow that to be unique for you. Because it is. That's the beauty of it. It works best when you're attuned to yourself and when you're aware that, no, I just don't feel safe or comfortable using that way yet. And switch way, that's okay. So I will challenge myself to hum more often, but I too will be checking in with myself and be like, maybe I don't want to hum around certain people or certain places or in certain situations, and I'll do other things. And so I'll be sharing you those other things as well that are just as useful in other ways. So, je vous partageais également ces autres outils que quand vous vous trouviez dans ces circonstances que vous disiez, bon, le bourdonnement ne marche pas pour moi. No problem. Pas de problème. On s'en servira d'autres outils et c'est correct. So there you go. There's more to work with, but those are simple, easy little things. C'est des choses très simples et faciles qu'on peut avoir accès. Et je veux vous donner cette agence et cette sens de souveraineté en vous de faire ces choix-là pour vous-même. I wish you to support your sense of sovereignty, to make that choice for yourself and what that looks like for you. And with that, happy humming. That's some of the basics. I will elaborate more on Dr. Porridge's polyvagal understandings and also on the drumming and the tapping. Should be next, possibly, or co-regulation. Maybe start with the co-regulation. I'll give you more a sense of that basic foundation, because I think that's really important, because we can, coming from a culture that can be prescriptive in thinking that there's like, well, if I just use this thing, it'll solve the problem. And that's not exactly how I think music should be used. It's more of about the relationship. And so that is the foundation, I think, would be probably more important that we keep that focus. Et donc, que je veux parler dans la prochaine vidéo, que ce soit les rythmes et le tempo, encore la percussion, ou la co-régulation. J'ai pas décidé encore laquelle, mais je m'incline plus vers la co-régulation parce que ça donne une bonne fondation sur comment s'en servir de la musique, moins comme un aspect prescriptif. C'est pas comme tu peux juste prescrire quelqu'un de la musique puis dire bon, ça va tout te gérer. Parce que notre relation avec la musique, c'est unique. Mais je vous laisse avec ça et on se voit la prochaine vidéo. I'll see you in the next video. Au revoir. Bon bourdonnement. Happy humming. Au revoir.